If I were to ask you if you're facing stress in your life right now, what would you say? I think for the overwhelming majority, we would say yes, definitely. And it would be most likely a daily thing. There are so many things, especially right now when we're undergoing a pandemic, there are so many things that are causing stress and hardship and anxiety. And I think that one of the most important ways and most successful ways we can deal with these things and these hard times is by trying to maintain some level of positivity and a positive attitude. So today's video is all about positivity, giving you guys some maybe useful tips to maintain a level of joy and positivity despite the hardships that we may face. So for me, my hardship, my biggest one is dealing with chronic illness and anxiety on a daily basis, and also dealing with some personal tragedies or tragedies that have occurred to people who I love and consider dear friends. There are other things that people deal with, other health issues, other family problems. The list goes on and on. I could spend all day talking about the many different things that people face in the world, but I want to focus on ways that we can cope and ways that we can maintain some positivity, like I said. So, the first thing that I want to suggest is especially aimed at those who have chronic illness, and that is to not compare yourself to other people, and not even comparing to other people, but don't compare yourself to the self that you were, if that makes sense. Don't compare yourself to your former self before you were sick. This can be so damaging, and I'm guilty of doing this, especially in the first 6 months after I became ill. I was doing it on a daily basis all the time, almost every minute, and I was breaking down and crying and thinking about who I used to be, what I used to do in life, and you just cannot do it or compare yourself to others because they are not you. You are not them, and they're not facing the same trials and things that you are. So if you just realize that that's not going to help you to endure or to maintain any sense of joy, once you realize that, you are so much better off. And I can speak from experience when I say that it just kind of felt like this huge weight had been lifted off of my shoulders after I stopped doing that. Now, it's not to say that once you come to that realization that you don't want to do that anymore, that it's just one and done and you don't have to think about it anymore and that you'll never do that again. That's not true, because really it's an ongoing uphill battle, but the more you do it, the more natural it becomes and the easier it is. And going along with my first tip, my second tip is to not compare or not dwell, excuse me, do not dwell on things that you used to be able to do that you can't do now, but to focus on what you can do and what you can accomplish now that you are sick. Because the more you focus on the past, like I said earlier, you just get stuck in this rut. You feel so depressed and you just feel like you're never going to be useful again. But once you realize that, okay, I have this new challenge, but I can take it on, and you start to realize there are things that you can do and you're not completely useless, and it makes you feel a lot better about yourself, better than you feel sitting around feeling sorry for yourself, or constantly comparing what your level of ability is now compared to what it was before you got sick. Again, it's not easy, and it's an everyday battle that I think we have to work through. But again, it's so worth the effort, and it's definitely an effort. It's a proactive thing. It's not something that just clicks in your brain one day. Say, oh, I'm positive now, and I don't think about the way I used to be, because that's not reasonable. And as imperfect humans, we're just going to, at times, look back on the way that we were. But the point is to not dwell on it and not live in that space, but keep it in its proper place and be reasonable about it. My third tip can kind of apply to any sort of trial or hardship or hard time that we might be facing, and that is to surround ourselves with positive people, positive influences, and people that brighten our day or who are supportive to us, listen to us, and don't try to make us feel bad for things like not being able to hang out anymore, or talking down to us and things like that. So really, really you need to surround yourself with positive people and people who love you and support you no matter what. My fourth tip for staying positive and maintaining some level of joy is to set goals for yourself, reasonable goals that you can attain, because the more goals that you reach, the happier you're going to be, and the more encouraged and the more motivated you are to continue setting goals for yourself that you can reach. Now, for someone with chronic illness, that might be to get up a little bit earlier and maybe do some reading. As your mind allows, and maybe it's something that you haven't really had the time to do in the past and you can now. Maybe it's setting the goal of keeping one of the house chores up as you're able. Little goals, not huge monumental goals, like go to Africa next week or something. That was weird, but anyways, just small goals that you can attain and that will just boost your confidence. And really, these can be anything that are personal and specific to your lifestyle. My next tip and fifth tip is my favorite one, and I think it is the most helpful in life, not only when you're facing hardship, but anytime, and that is to help other people and to look outward instead of inward. Instead of focusing on your problems and what you're going through, so much of our energy can be spent towards thinking of others and ways we can help them, whether that's supporting them emotionally, materially, if we're able, practically. Maybe if someone's unable to go grocery shopping and you can, or even just ordering the groceries online, especially right now in the pandemic, and delivering them to that person, spending your time thinking of others and helping them really does help mold your thinking and your spirit and your attitude in a more positive way, versus if you're just thinking of yourself and what can I do about myself and my plight today, and just always in that negative bubble. Looking outward at how you can help other people really does help your spirits. My last little tip for you guys is to accept that there are things that you cannot control and then focus on the ones that you can control. And a lot of times, the thing that we can control is our response to the thing that we can't control. So for me, I can't control the fact that I got POTS and have dysautonomia, and it affects me in so many different ways. I cannot control that fact, but I have learned to control how I react to it and how I let it affect my mental attitude and things like that. Now, every day is a little bit different. One day you're more positive about it, the next you feel a little bit more down. But if you have that goal in mind of being positive, it's going to stick with you. And the more that you nurture that and cultivate that positive spirit, it's just going to come more naturally, like I said earlier. So don't focus on what you can't control, focus on what you can, and you're going to see that it makes a really big difference. I hope that you found this video helpful. I hope I didn't ramble too much. Sometimes I have an idea of what I want to say, and then the execution is not always the best. I do better with writing things down versus talking, but some days are better than others. Today I'm a little bit out of breath when I'm talking, so that also makes it harder. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you did down below, and if you like these types of videos. I will see you in the next one, and I hope you're staying well and staying safe. Bye.